What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Pack to Sleeve. My name is Justin, and welcome to another edition of Weekly Winnings. This series, I'll go through a brief deck tech on the deck I played for the week. Usually it'll be at FNM, but if we have any other tournaments, we'll also go through those, and then any winnings that we get, we will open up. Let's go ahead and dive in. So this week again, I ran back mono green. It was fantastic for me last week, and continue to put up good results. So there were a few changes I made based off of the way the meta is developing at my LGS. So let's briefly walk through the deck list and then talk about the matches and see if we got anything. All right, so the one drops, still starting off with the Pelt Collector. Pelt Collector can just get out of control really fast in this deck, so it's a fantastic one drop, probably the premier one drop in green. We're really going to miss this at rotation, but Pelt Collector is where we start off at. Two drops. We still got the Barkhide Troll that we are running. This card, 3 power and toughness on 2, really great. You can deaden removal as long as you leave mana open for its activated ability. Really, really good. And is also a good mutate target for the Gem Raiser because it can get up to 5 power then and still be able to protect your big trampler. The other 2 drop then, of course, is one of the best reprints we've had in Core 21, and that's Scavenging Ooze. Scavenging Ooze itself can just outright win the game as it can grow out of control versus creature decks, deaden Uro, either so they can't cast it or so you can just get it out of the graveyard versus the ramp decks. Fantastic. I've never been disappointed playing this card. If you remember last week, we also played Wildborn Preserver. We dropped that from the list this week. We are still playing, of course, Stonecoil Serpent. We are only playing the 3 of because that's all I have. Protection from multicolor, reach, trample, the ability to just be a mana sink, all fantastic. Love Stonecoil Serpent. Won me a couple games this week, overperformed for sure. And then our one of, more of a fun of, at this point is Garruk's Harbinger. This is basically taking the place of the 4th Stonecoil Serpent. Hexproof from black is really good because there's several black heavy removal decks at my LGS, so I figured, hey, we'll try out Harbinger. This week he was actually able to connect a couple times in a couple games, and so able to nab a particular creature. In this case, the one instance I'm thinking of, I had a Questing Beast 3 cards down, and so being able to find that and put it in my hand and get rid of a couple less impactful cards was really helpful and allowed me to curve out really well and win the game. 4 drops. Of course, we have the Questing Beast, which is one of the primary reasons you play these green aggro lists. Are probably the best green creature we have in the format. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste, just bonkers, can't be chump blocked. I love Questing Beast. I'm never disappointed casting that. Then we also played, of course, still the 4 of Gem Raisers. Really good to give some of your creatures trample, like the Questing Beast, like Barkhide Troll, Pelt Collector, cards that have extra counters on them, so Gem Raiser just gets really big. Was able to mutate onto a Scavenging Ooze this week, and I think it was ended up being like a 9/9 with trample. Really, really good. I like Gem Raiser. And then this week, in place of the Wildborn Preserver, we mainboarded our 4 Shifting Ceratops. So at the beginning of the night, I had Lovestruck Beast in that slot, and then I got to the store and was talking to people, looking at what other people were playing, and there was a whole bunch more Bant Ramp lists, and there was a Just Got Control list, and so I decided to, before the tournament started, to switch in the Shifting Ceratops. Ended up being a really good choice for the one matchup, being able to win just outright on after he thought he had stabilized because I mainboarded this in game 1. So shifting Ceratops, not being able to be countered, protection from blue, just fantastic. And then we get into our removal and non-creature stuff. We have the 2 Vivian's Arcbow Rangers. The main things you use for the Vivian is her plus to grow some of your creatures, give them Trample, Questing Beast, Harbinger, Ooze, any of that stuff. Really good. This week, she was one of my best removal spells, being able to take care of Rotting Regisaurs with Questing Beast. Really happy to have Vivian in those slots, and actually drew and got to play them this time. I think it's a pretty underrated card. And then we have Ram Through. Ram Through still performs fantastic, being able to just deal its damage to anything. We were able to take care of some flyers this week that was troublesome. Being an instant also, you're able to get them to overcommit and then ram through and set up some favorable blocks for yourself. And with a big Stonecoil Serpent and big Scavenging Ooze with Trample because of Gem Razor, worked really well to just add some extra damage to the player. And then we have the one of Ranger's Guile. Still really happy about this. Was a blowout versus the Jeskai control list in game 1. Really threw off his game a little bit because he made it pretty awkward for him when he was trying to play some spells. So Ranger's Guile was great. And of course, we're playing 21 Forests. Still think that's a good number. I could probably maybe even drop 1 or 2 at this point because 25 lands is a lot, but you do need to hit. You do want to hit your land drops. You want to get to 4 by turn 4 because of all your powerful threats. Having extra mana is not a huge deal, especially with Stonecoil Serpent, with Scavenging Ooze. Being able to have those mana sinks. And even with Ceratops in the main, being able to get to 5 so you can drop Ceratops and give it haste or reach or trample, any of those things is really good. We play the 2 mobilized districts just to be able to have some insurance against sweepers to keep pressure up. Mobilized district, I have not really had to activate it yet, but it's good insurance policy. And then still we play the 2 Castle Garenbrigs. May consider going up to 3 because we dropped the Wildborn Preserver, but still having 2 has not really been detrimental at all. Overall, the list performed really well, the main list. Sideboard, we also had some changes. The stuff that we left the same, of course, we have the 4 Lovestruck Beasts for mono red and some of the other small aggro lists. And we also have the Spore Web Weaver. Still really want to see how good this is versus mono red. We had 3 mono red lists this week. I played one of them. Had these in game 2, but never got a chance to draw them and just drop on the board. I still think it'll be really good versus them, so still hoping to see it in action one of these times. We also had the 2 Occam adversaries for I think both the mirror and versus like Temur Rec, just because you get the discount for green permanents. But Death Touch is also really good versus the mirror, and then drawing cards versus like Temur Rec is really good as well. So still have not had to bring these in at all for the matchups at all, but leaving them in my sideboard for now as the meta has changed from week to week. So last week we only had 3 Primal Mites in the sideboard. This week we went up to the full 4. Really good versus the creature matchups, being able to fight, but just being able to grow some of your big tramplers up or Questing Beast when they can't block. Primal Mite is a really interesting card, especially if you can make sure to protect the creature or if they're tapped out and don't have any removal spells or anything like that. So Primal Might has been really good for me. I like it in the sideboard. And then this week we also went up to 3 more Ranger's Guiles. I really liked Ranger's Guile, the one of in the main. I saw with the more spot removal coming in, particularly in my local meta, Ranger's Guile won me several games this week because I had more than one. So this week we went 3-0 again. Played versus Mono Red round 1, the Cavalcade version. We're able to just sit back, weather the early storm, block his stuff, and then the Scavenging Ooze just took over. And once we landed Questing Beast, it was game over. We were able to pressure him quickly in game 1. And then in game 2, we had opening hand with 2 Love Struck Beasts and just took over from there because he couldn't. I think he did stumble and land a little bit, but still 5/5s were just too big for him to deal with. Just to be able to block all of his little guys and eventually just take over with some of the big tramplers. Round 2, we played versus a Jeskai control list. It was more of a combination of like Jeskai control and Jeskai planeswalkers. It played Sarkhan, it played the new Narset, it played 4 mana Teferi. I think it played 3 mana Teferi. What was some of the other ones? There's another blue walker, but I can't remember. I can't remember which one it was. But either way, was able to, once again, put a lot of pressure on him. Harbinger came in and was able to get me some stuff. But being able to just drop Ceratops. In game 1, I dropped Ceratops on turn 5, gave it haste, and won the game there after he had top deck Storm's Wrath and swept the board. And he was sitting pretty close, and basically I had to find one more point of damage somewhere, and I top decked Ceratops, which gave me, because he knew I had the Questing Beast in hand at that point, because I had Garruk's Harbinger, found the Questing Beast, and so he was at, I think he was at 11, and I had 10 points of damage that he knew about, because I had a 2-drop, or a 2-power, the Harbinger, and the Questing Beast in hand. Top deck Ceratops, which gave me the extra point, dropped it, gave it haste, and won the game. In game 2, once again, had a lot of pressure quickly and I think I ended the game with another Ceratops in hand. Just really good versus that deck. Once again, Ranger's Guile was a blowout. He tried to spot remove early. I was able to protect the creature and leave it on the board. And then he phased out my 7/7 Ooze with Teferi, and then he had to Ral Zarek was the other one, Ral Storm's Wrath, and so he copied a Clarion, swept my board, but because my Ooze was in phasing, it survived, and I was able to just ride the Ooze to victory. And then the last round, we played versus the new Mono Black aggro list. Regisars, Rankles, Spawn of Mayhem was some difficult stuff to deal with for the deck. Lost pretty heavily in game 1, and then was able to come back pretty strong in game 2 and 3. Stone Coil Serpents, being able to have reach, as well as some crucial ram throughs and Ranger's Guiles to catch a couple of the Noxious Grasps, worked really well for me. So we got the Core 2021 Foil Promo Pack as our prize for the week. So let's see what we get. Save the code. And all right, we got Rada, Heart of Keld. Love me a Gruul deck, and Rada is a really sweet card. So always happy to see her. So for 1, a red and a green for a 3/3 elf warrior legendary creature. As long as it is your turn, Rada, Heart of Keld has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands from the top of your library. And you can spend 4 red and a green to give Rada XX, where X is the number of lands you control. So really good way to help Gruul decks not flood out. So I really like Rada a lot. Our promo is the Foil Frantic Inventory. For 1 and a blue, for an instant, draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantic Inventory in your graveyard. Pretty sweet card. Always like to get the foil promo cards. So that'll be good. And I'll be interested to see if it sees play in older formats as well. And then last but certainly not least, we got a foil Mystic Forge from M20. So for 4 mana for an artifact, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it is an artifact or a colorless non-land card. And you can tap it and pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library to kind of reset and keep going. There's a couple decks I know in older formats. I think there's like a Core Tapper, Trons type deck in Modern that I think uses it, and there's also a Legacy deck that uses Mystic Forge. So a pretty sweet one. You can do broken things by being able to play off the top of your library, especially in an artifact deck. So yeah, pretty happy with those pulls. If you like what we're doing here at Pack to Sleeve, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a note in the comments. What are you guys playing on Arena, or if you're able to play at your LGS, what are you guys playing? Are you guys having success with it? I encourage you to give Mono Green a try. Mono Green is really strong, able to put a lot of pressure on pretty quick, and even versus the big ramp decks, you're able to put them under pressure before Ugin can come down. But yeah, that's all I have for you this week. It looks like I am all tapped out for now. I will see you guys later.